Picture this. It's a sweltering August afternoon. The highway shimmers like liquid silver, and your odometer just flipped to 500,003 miles. Yet the engine note drifting from beneath the hood is still a confident, low-key hum. No ticking lifters, no blue smoke, no hint that the pistons have spent 500,000 miles slamming up and down. What's the secret? Not an expensive rebuild, not a lab-coat laboratory experiment. Just a $40 step slipped quietly into an ordinary oil change, ignored by most mechanics and ridiculed by plenty of armchair experts online. But here's where it gets really wild. Fleet owners who swear by this trick are seeing maintenance costs crash. Car flippers are turning high-mileage junkers into cash cows, and a few sharp dealerships have started offering it, hushed, under premium service plans because owners keep coming back for tires long before the engine gives up. Meanwhile, deep in enthusiast forums, a war of words is raging. Some call the tweak miracle science, others spit snake oil, and every few weeks a new lab test or teardown drops more evidence on the table. So buckle up, because over the next few minutes we're going to unpack the chemistry, the filtration hack, and the warranty-busting legal fine print. By the end, you'll know exactly why a growing underground of drivers is betting that this one extra step can stretch engine life from a respectable 150,000 miles to a jaw-dropping 500,000, and whether you should bet on it too. Engines almost never go out in a cinematic cloud of smoke. They're eroded molecule by particles far too small for the naked eye. A typical oil film hovers between 1 and 5 microns, thinner than a human red blood cell, yet most factory filters only promise to catch debris larger than 20 microns. That means everything in the 5 to 20 micron razor range keeps swirling past pistons, bearings, and cam lobes, scraping off nanoscopic metal each revolution. Tribology studies pin more than 70% of plain bearing wear on contaminants 10 microns and below, while large-scale filtration experiments show bearing life plummets when those particles aren't removed. Once the metallic dust mixes with oxidized oil to form sludge, the problem doubles. Clearances clog, journals lose their pressurized cushion, and friction spikes, just enough to raise temperatures a few deadly degrees. Oil analysis labs routinely flag these microscopic hitchhikers long before the odometer hits 150k miles, but most drivers never see the report, only the gradual drop in compression, the faint tick at idle, and the creeping oil consumption that signals an engine quietly aging out. And that's exactly where a one-atom-thick shield and a smarter filter strategy could stage a rescue mission. Graphene is only 1 atom thick, yet when a few pinches of the carbon lattice are suspended in oil, test cells register friction drops of up to 70% and lubricant life surging more than 24 times. Hydrograph's 2023 trials showed base oil samples fortified with graphene ran 24 times longer before breaking down, while their wear scar measurements shrank dramatically. This lab hype jumped to real engines in early 2025 when graphene manufacturing groups, G Lubricant, hit Australia's fleet market. Field-monitored generators chalked up a 10% energy efficiency boost and a 33% cut in soot output, using a minuscule 0.03% graphene dose, roughly 1 teaspoon per 10 quarts of oil. Peer-reviewed diesel studies back the claims. At just 0.1% weight, graphene nanoplatelets trimmed fuel burn, while micron-level surface scans revealed polished journals instead of the usual scoring. Tribologists credit 3 superpowers. Graphene sheets flatten microscopic peaks, plug nano-scratches, and form a sacrificial slip layer that lets metal glide metal-free. All of it happens without thickening the oil, so pressure stays factory spec even in tight clearances. But this nanoshield can't perform miracles if the oil itself turns into a gritty soup. So the next piece of the puzzle is keeping that fluid surgically clean every mile it circulates. A bypass filter is a quiet sidekick that solves the one flaw graphene can't fix, dirty oil. Instead of forcing every quart through a single, relatively coarse element, a bypass system diverts a slow trickle, about 2 to 3 quarts per minute, into a secondary cartridge wound so densely it can trap particles down to 2 microns, roughly 1/25th the width of a human hair. That matters, because the lion's share of where comes from the 5 to 30 micron razor zone that full-flow filters miss. Some of the best OEM elements only capture half the debris at 10 microns and up. By stripping those sub-micron specks, and even 99.95% of entrained water, the oil stays cleaner than the fresh jug you bought at the parts store. Field data from commercial fleets running clean oil and similar units show drain intervals stretching 3 to 5 times longer. Cooler operating temps from the added oil volume, and lab reports where iron counts flatline despite six-figure mileage swings. Installation is usually bolt-on, a sandwich adapter under the stock filter, a return line to a valve cover port, and a mount for the soup can-sized cartridge. Total cost hovers around one premium oil change, yet continuous detoxing means the nano armor you added earlier glides through an engine bathed in near-surgical fluid, setting the stage for bearings that look factory fresh at 300k miles. But if bypass filters and graphene work so well, why do some mechanics still call them snake oil? Type graphene oil additive into any forum, and the comment threads light up like a welder's torch. On our Golf GDI and our /mechanic advice, self-styled gearheads argue that modern SM Plus oils already pack all the chemistry an engine needs. Anything else is snake oil at best and, at worst, masks real failure warnings. Over on Baba's the Oil Guy, a 20-year-old thread titled Simply Snake Oil Additives is still drawing fresh posts, with veterans lining up data sheets against anecdotal work-for-me stories. Even the venerable Leaky Moly brand gets roasted. One Redditor jokes that Ceratec belongs next to faux science skin cream in the pharmacy aisle. Dealership service writers sometimes lean into that skepticism, hinting that any off-menu additive or a bolt-on bypass filter could vaporize your powertrain warranty. The fear works because warranties feel like glass. Drop one mod and it shatters. Yet U.S. consumer law tells a different story. Under the Magnuson-Moss Warranty Act, an automaker must prove an aftermarket part caused the failure before it can deny a claim. Using a different oil, additive, or filter is not, by itself, grounds for rejection. The Federal Trade Commission doubles down, stating plainly that simply using an aftermarket or recycled part does not void your warranty. Companies selling bypass systems brandish that statute like a shield. Clean Oil, for instance, prints the line, original equipment warranties are unaffected by installation, in bold across its brochures and warranty PDFs, though they concede that if the filter causes a failure, you're on the hook. Fleets seem convinced. Fuel haulers, delivery vans, and municipal buses adopt the kit precisely because legal risk is low and the payoff, longer drain intervals and engines that outlast the trucks, can be huge. So, are graphene additives and bypass filters miracle science or glorified placebo? The truth lives between benches of torn-down engines and stacks of oil analysis reports, not in comment section hot takes. And that's exactly where we're headed next. Real-world odometers that have already rolled past 400K without a rebuild. Forget white coat lab demos. Here's what happens when real fleets gamble on ultra-clean oil and nano armor. Idaho National Labs million-mile shuttle buses. Over a 3-year trial, the INL bolted 2-micron bypass filters onto 11 diesel shuttle buses and 6 Chevy Tahoes, then logged 1.3 million fleet miles. The buses alone racked up 982,548 miles, while avoiding 89% of their scheduled oil changes. Yet oil analyses still showed additives healthy, and where metals flatline. Payback hit as early as 72k miles on the buses and 66k miles on the SUVs, saving more than 2,100 quarts of oil and hundreds of labor hours. California's 119-vehicle state fleet demo. 7 state and local agencies fitted high-efficiency filters to patrol cars, school buses, and long-haul coaches. Across 119 vehicles, the odometers climbed nearly 3 million miles with 0 engine failures. Drain intervals stretched from 6,000 up to 50,000 miles, a 3 to 5-fold jump, while projected payback windows ranged from 1.3 to 6.8 years, even after factoring in the cost of lab reports. Graphene in the wild. Australia's truck trials. Graphene Manufacturing Group spent 4 years dosing fleet engines with a 1/10,000 concentrate. Independent lab monitors and the University of Queensland verified an 8.4% fuel efficiency gain, lower soot, and iron counts that stayed low as trucks crept past the 300k mile mark. The results were convincing enough for GMG to begin direct sales to major carriers in 2025. Why these numbers matter? Blend the two technologies, and a clear pattern emerges. Cleaner oil equals slower wear. Both studies show sub-5-micron filtration slashes iron and chromium, the fingerprints of bearing and liner damage, no matter the engine type. Graphene equals friction buffer, Even a teaspoon per oil change polishes contact surfaces and cushions the micrometal the filter misses. Compounding effect. Idaho's buses prove that once oil stays pristine, you skip most drain and fill cycles, freeing the additive to work for tens of thousands of miles instead of thousands. Stack those gains and fleets routinely push 400 to 500k miles on original internals with lab reports rather than gut feelings. Green lighting every extra interval. Next up, the precise 5-step blueprint to try the combo yourself without torpedoing your warranty or draining your wallet. First, treat this like a science experiment, not a leap of faith. Order a free sampling kit from a lab, such as Blackstone. The vial and mailer cost nothing, and the standard analysis, about $35, tells you exactly how much iron, chromium, or fuel dilution is already swirling in your sump. When your baseline numbers land in your inbox, you'll know whether your engine is a clean slate or a sludge museum. Next, give the block a gentle detox. If that report shows sky-high insolubles or viscosity gone thick as syrup, run a short 500-mile sacrificial oil cycle with an inexpensive flush additive. This sweeps out loose varnish so fresh graphene can bond to metal instead of mud. Mechanics like to rush the step, resist the urge. A clean canvas means the nanoplates will lay flat, forming a slippery armor instead of clumping into paste. Now comes the nanodose. GMG's G lubricant and similar concentrates are designed for a ratio of roughly 1 part graphene to 10,000 parts oil, about a teaspoon per 10-quart crankcase. Independent diesel studies confirm that 0.1% weight slashes friction and fuel burn without thickening the oil or spiking ash content. Shake the bottle hard, pour it in during the refill, and do not overtreat. More graphene just settles to the pan and wastes money. While the drain plug is off, bolt on the 2-micron gatekeeper. A sandwich adapter under your factory filter feeds a braided line to a coffee can-sized bypass cartridge. Clean Oil's kit takes about 40 minutes with hand tools and costs less than a premium set of spark plugs. Because only a trickle passes through, you won't starve the pump. Yet over every few minutes, the entire sump is polished cleaner than the day it left the refinery. Finally, monitor, don't guess. Pull a follow-up sample every 5,000 miles and watch the wear metals. If iron and lead stay level while silicon and fuel dilution fall, stretch the interval another 2,000, then sample again. One Blackstone mail-in costs about what you'd pay for a single jug of synthetic, but the data lets you skip 3 or 4 full oil changes without losing sleep. Keep the reports in a folder. If a dealer ever questions your additive, the lab numbers, and the Magnuson-Moss Act we covered earlier speak louder than forum chatter. Stick to those 5 steps, and you've minimized every real risk, residue, warranty drama, and blind guessing. If the reports keep coming back clean, congrats. You're already on the runway to the 500k mile club, and the next video will show you how to push that runway even farther with hybrid engines and start-stop wear hacks. Your car's odometer just rolled past 500,000 miles, yet the engine still whispers instead of rattling. No piston slap, no smoke, just that smooth, confident hum you heard the day you drove it off the lot. Sounds impossible. What if all it took was a $40 twist to your next oil change? A tweak so simple most mechanics glance right past it, while fleet managers quietly use it to save millions in rebuild costs. In the next few minutes, you'll hear the war stories. Delivery trucks cruising 400k without a teardown, shuttle buses skipping 9 out of 10 oil changes, and lab reports that show microscopic, where metals flatlining even as the miles stack up. You'll also meet the skeptics, those who call the trick snake oil and swear it will void your warranty. Then see the federal rule that proves them wrong. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how a teaspoon-sized dose of cutting-edge chemistry and a coffee can-sized filter could transform any ordinary engine into a 500k mile legend, and whether it's worth trying in your own driveway before the next 3,000 mile sticker comes due.